I want my innocence back, and if you can give it to me, I will cut you, and I will
The tragic story of starving, terrorized children on their deathbeds every day of their lives is not what you'll be hearing about, because the topic is how to get a tent, I mean eating disorders. Ha ha ha, I am ashamed. Adolescence, a time of vital social and physical maturation. You begin to become acutely aware of the importance of bringing all the boys to the yard. Chin up. There may be no hope for that face of yours, but you can do something about that body. In fact, I know just what you need. An eating disorder would remedy the situation quite nicely. Allow me to walk you through this. Don't worry, I'll put it into simple terms so even you can understand the joys of eating disorders. Judging by the double chin and those cankles, you don't know what fasting is. For our purposes, fasting is abstaining from the lascivious sin of food. Water is to be tolerated. You see, you always have these things called ketones in your blood, and the more you have, the less time you have to spend in the shower at night trying to scrub the dirt and shame off of your soul. After exercise or short periods of fasting, ketone levels are raised slightly. After 18 hours of fasting, ketones appear in notable levels in your urine and blood. As you starve your body of carbohydrates, it begins to utilize a protective mechanism called ketosis to continue functioning. To make this possible, free fatty acids must be changed into acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl-CoA via beta-oxidation, a repeated process with 4 reactions. Beta-oxidation primarily takes place in the mitochondrial matrix of the hepatocytes. To continue, it needs to pair with oxaloacetate, which must first be formed through glycolysis using 2 molecules of ATP. 2 phosphoglycerides are formed from glucose, then changed to 2 pyruvates, creating 4 molecules of ATP, 2 of NADH and 2 of water. Then, in the citric acid cycle, pyruvate goes through numerous successive chemical reactions going from acetyl coenzyme A to oxaloacetate. However, oxaloacetate will not be sufficiently available to pair with acetyl coenzyme A in times of glucose deficiency, making it possible for acetyl coenzyme A to aid in the production of ketones. Low levels of cellular glucose contribute to rising glycogenolysis. Glucagon, a hormone also used to treat hypoglycemia, incites a series of reactants that result in hyperglycemia and the mitochondrial oxidation of free fatty acids for energy. Eventually, ketone bodies are formed. For this to occur, a high level of glucagon must exist, in addition to inadequate insulin levels, in order to be used as an alternate energy source. Specifically, acidoacetic to acetyl coenzyme A molecule must combine. This can be used, or it can be converted into acetone or beta-hydroxy butyrate. The latter is especially important because beta-hydroxy butyrate is only seen in a significantly high prevalence in ketoacidosis. Due to the increased free fatty acid oxidation and acidosis, as this progresses, the tissue uptake capacity of ketones becomes inadequate to utilize all the ketones and they begin to accumulate, thus creating ketosis. This is primarily because of the rapid production of ketones, not depressed utilization during ketoacidosis. Ketones are typically measured in blood or urine, but can also be detected in breast milk. To each his own. I'm not judging what you do. Rosa famous. To measure beta-hydroxy butyrate in the blood, beta-hydroxy butyrate hydrogenase must be used to convert it to acidoacetate. Ketosis in mild forms may be taken advantage of for treatment for certain illnesses, such as Alzheimer's, ischemic strokes, and physical fatigue. This may either be because ketones are more efficient sources of cellular energy or because they're the bomb diggity. Glucose, like they meow it is, decreases significantly after 3 and 24 days of fasting. Perhaps it was the marked increase in acidoacetate and beta-hydroxy butyrate at 3 and 24 days of fasting that scared it off. The fact that ketosis can be reversed within 5 minutes of the injection of insulin or glucose is irrelevant, and ketones are still cooler. Despite being the very best like no one ever was, ketone bodies cease to be relied upon for energy after 4 to 5 days of fasting. Ketones accumulate at an even greater rate then, because fatty acids become a source of energy. The brain is the exception to this and later uses ketones to greatly reduce its consumption of glucose. In addition to ketosis, an anorexic may undergo several other adjustments. For example, prolonged QT intervals have been linked to high levels of beta-hydroxy butyrate, as have cardiac chamber enlargement. Likewise, insufficient hemodynamic load and degradation, or hypertrophy of the heart, has been associated with anorexia nervosa. The left ventricular chamber was also found to be smaller and composed of thinner walls than that of its healthy counterpart. Bradycardia, cardiac arrhythmia, hypotension, atrophied hearts, tachycardia, and hypoxemia are also known complications of anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. Never mind EDNOS. Everyone knows it's just a label they give for people who aren't really anorexic or bulimic, that is. They have criteria for both, or incomplete criteria for both, or one who want to feel special. Some structural and functional damage sustained during the illness can be reversed and recovered. Adolescence. However, long-term electrolyte imbalances in bulimics and anorectics may cause permanent damage. Hypokalemia, or less than 2.5 mmol of potassium per liter of blood, can cause cardiac arrhythmia all by itself, and includes symptoms such as swooning, weakness, muscle cramps, and constipation. Anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and EDNOs have been linked to a depressed sympathetic nervous system, indicated by abnormally low noradrenergic activity in the central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Additionally, thyroxine, triiodothyronine, and thyrotropin levels, which are produced in the thyroid and play major roles in cellular metabolism. When stimulated by a thyrotropin-releasing hormone, the patients metabolized the hormones 2 to 4 times more slowly than the control group. Various other endocrine disturbances occur in anorexic and bulimics. In addition to altered responses to ghrelin, rather than increase in appetite as would be expected, IV infusion of ghrelin resulted in tiredness in anorexic individuals, which contrasted with the appropriate change in appetite in the control group. Anorexic were also found to have a significantly higher baseline amount of ghrelin prior to the experiment. Not surprisingly, hyperghrelin has undesirable effects, specifically increased risk for liver failure. Protein energy malnutrition also puts anorectics' livers at risk.